The Jehovah's Witnesses have quite a few controversial doctrines, as we all know, and when it comes to dating, marriage, and members' sexuality, it's no different. They get very, very crazy. And in today's video, we're going to unpack some of those crazy doctrines and how they dictate their members' dating lives in terms of who they can date, when they can get married, when they can get a divorce, and even the sexual positions they can partake in. Imagine. Let's talk about it. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to my channel. My name is Monica for those who are new, and if you are a returning subby, what? Welcome back. Guys, I feel like I've been gone, but I've not been gone. I've been producing videos. I don't know what's going on with the algorithm. They've been just so suppressed. So please do leave a comment, do leave a like so that the algorithm can push out my content because people have not been seeing it. If you have not, do go check out my previous videos. I really go into a lot of important topics when it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses, such as education, how that experience of growing up in a high control religion can affect the development of children, and just a bunch of other stuff that is very educational. So do go check it out if you have not. Let's get into today's video because it's gonna be a funny and a juicy one. As always, I've made notes, so I'm just going to be reading them along here with you. But at number 1, there's no dating without the intentions of marriage. Now this seems okay and kind of like, yeah, why would you want to date someone if you're not going to get married? Because men do waste women's time. Men are just, let's not get into it. Now, according to the Jehovah's Witnesses, dating should not be seen as a recreational activity. It should be seen as something very serious, a step towards marriage. This means that members are discouraged from dating simply just to get to know someone or enjoy the companionship. And instead, they only enter a relationship when they feel like, okay, I'm certainly sure here that I'm going to marry this person. In a 2015 article from The Awake, it stated that dating should not be viewed as a mere pastime, but rather it should be taken seriously as a step towards marriage. Guys, excuse me if I sound a bit phlegmy. I'm recovering from a cold, so excuse that. But back to the video. So here's the problem when it comes to dating with the intention of marriage without having casually dated people before. Young people feel this immense pressure to just consider relationships as a stepping stone to marriage, whereas sometimes they don't know themselves, they don't know their preferences, they don't even know how to look out for red flags when it comes to relationships. And then this leads to people rushing into marriages, only learning later on that they are not compatible with someone. And this kind of explains why the Jehovah's Witnesses have such a high rate of domestic abuse and financial abuse within their community, because members rush into marriages, and some of these men, and maybe a few women, but mostly men, are concerning, and you're just rushing into a relationship with them without exploring your compatibility, without exploring what it is that you actually like in a relationship. So yes, casual dating is actually very important. At number 2, it's you can't date someone who is not a Jehovah's Witness. The Jehovah's Witnesses have a very strict policy where they forbid their members from dating or marrying someone who's not part of the faith. The organization warns that romantic relationships with non-witnesses could lead to spiritual danger, as it might cause a member to drift away from the religious beliefs. In a Watchtower article, they were warned that if a Christian marries an unbeliever, he or she may soon discover that their mate's attitude towards Jehovah and his requirements is very different from their own. That is just another word for Jehovah's Witnesses. That part of Jehovah and his requirements, no. Your mate might discover that this religion, it is a weird. And basically, this is just another control tactic from the Jehovah's Witnesses to isolate their members and have the Jehovah's Witnesses essentially police each other. Because if you are with someone who's not a Jehovah's Witness, firstly, they're not going to be policing you like a Jehovah's Witness would. And secondly, they will tell you that, oh, this is kind of weird, I am not going to partake in this. And basically, if you're with someone who's not a Jehovah's Witness, they're going to help you to eventually wake up. So the religion warns against this, not because it has anything to do with faith, but it has everything to do with controlling and manipulating their members. At number 3, it is the sexual conduct within marriage. Like this one, guys. While Jehovah's Witnesses teach that sex within marriage is a sacred gift from God, their rules regarding what is acceptable between a husband and wife are very vague and subject to interpretation by the local elders. Can you believe that? And this and other forms of intimacy have been, frowned upon, like let's just limit things to traditional intercourse and nothing too crazy, because this is too crazy. And the organization does not explicitly forbid the members not to take part in these acts. However, in an article from 1978, it stated that couples should avoid practices that degrade the marriage bed and do not honor God's purpose for intimacy. Now, what's crazy is that some Jehovah's Witnesses have actually faced being questioned by the elders about their sexual activities when concerns were raised. I don't even know how someone can raise a concern about a couple's sex life to random men in your congregation. Okay. This intrusion into marriage life can really cause distress, guilt, and even relationship problems for couples who struggle to navigate intimacy under the religious scrutiny. And this is so common because when you were raised as a Jehovah's Witness, you really have a weird relationship to sex and intimacy already. There's a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, and this rule doesn't really help. If anything, it makes it worse. Now, it's also getting dark. Now, the Jehovah's Witnesses teach their members that marriage is sacred and should not just be dissolved randomly. And I agree with that. Marriage is very much sacred, should be respected. But if it's not benefiting both parties, then why are you in it? Because even in cases of abuse, emotional neglect, or extreme incompatibility, the Jehovah's Witnesses do not recognize for their members to get divorced. It is highly discouraged. In an article from 2022, they stated that Jesus taught that sexual immorality is the only valid reason for ending a marriage. Now, this doctrine is very dangerous, especially for women, because sometimes women can find themselves in marriages where they are unhappy, where they are being abused, and sometimes their life is at risk. And yet they can't leave without facing spiritual or social consequences because of this doctrine. Some actually choose to separate without divorcing, but they are not then permitted to remarry unless their former spouse has been sexually unfaithful. Imagine that. Imagine that. And then at number 5, let's talk about remarrying, because remarrying is not that easy as a Jehovah's Witness. If you get divorced for any reason other than adultery, they are considered still bound to their spouse in God's eyes and cannot remarry. So if you and your spouse get divorced and it was not on the grounds of adultery, you cannot remarry. This can leave members in painful situations where they cannot move on with their lives even after escaping a toxic marriage. A Watchtower publication, Keep Yourselves in God's Love, states that if a Christian obtained a divorce without spiritual grounds, he or she remains married in Jehovah's eyes. This strict policy creates significant emotional suffering for individuals who have left restrictive marriages but are still denied the ability to find new love and companionship. This religion, guys, I swear, it is weird. Then we have rules when it comes to masturbation. I don't like saying this word masturbation. It just sounds so weird. And I know it's definitely from this religion. It is from this religion. But basically, people are taught that masturbation is sinful and can lead to moral uncleanness. Their literature describes the practice as harmful to one's spiritual health and strongly discourages it. In a Watchtower article, it states that masturbation fosters attitudes that are selfish, unclean, which can damage one's relationship with Jehovah. Young members of the religion often experience immense guilt over their natural behavior because this should be seen as a form of self-care, guys. This is self-care. And it can lead to anxiety, feelings of unworthiness, and even depression. Some Jehovah's Witnesses have confessed their struggles to elders only to receive harsh discipline rather than emotional support. I even remember coming across, I think it was a Reddit post or just something online in a group chat where someone stated that they even got disfellowship because of their issue with this. I don't know if they had an addiction or what was going on, but yeah, this is never addressed properly within the JW community, as we know. Guys, there's a lot of things we need to unlearn and relearn when it comes to our experience in this cult. That's just a few of the controversial doctrines when it comes to dating, marriage, divorce, and people's sexuality according to the Jehovah's Witnesses. If you guys want me to unpack even more, let me know in the comment section, but I will see you all in the next video. Bye.